So today we have Colin Hillstrom, and he is an amazing coach, and he's been my mentor and sound healer teacher, and I'm just so thrilled to be speaking with you, Colin, today. He is an innovator, a practitioner specializing in alchemy of sound healing, certified sound healer, and also goes through the 4 archetypes of conscious coaching. And he has written several books and recorded a CD called Crystal Sound Journey. And he is also writing a book, which he's going to share a little bit with us now, about healing, anxiety, and conflict resolution. So welcome, Colin.
Oh, thank you so much, Yuko. Oh, thank you for the beautiful introduction. It is so wonderful to speak with you. I just love your beautiful spirit.
Colin,
You're like a little sparrow. It's just like you have such a beautiful lightheartedness about you.
I can't wait to hear about your book as well.
Well, actually, what you just said relates to the book because here's something that I discovered over the years. And I've coached thousands and thousands of people, and very often I always look for shortcuts. Like, how can I help somebody kind of get where they want to be? Basically, like getting relief from stress and pain and suffering quicker. And so that also means, in terms of effectiveness and efficiency, it's like, hey, if we can get a result faster without having to go through X number of coaching sessions, then maybe here's a book that I recommend you read, and because it's got some practical steps in it. And if you read that, you'll actually get there quicker. And then the person would say, oh, I already read that book. And so upon digging a little bit deeper into so while you read the book, and what did you do with it? Well, I went on to the next book. Well, what that really means is that a lot of us kind of just graze, these spiritual ideas and very often like really amazing tools without actually really utilizing them.
Right.
But so you spoke of, angelic qualities a moment ago. I can tell you for a fact that we all have angelic qualities, and it actually relates to our aura, except most of us have not cleansed their emotional body and their mental body enough. Right. Okay. It requires to actually get rid of all that baggage. And some of that baggage that we hold is really not our fault. We're born with it, we're indoctrinated with it, we're programmed with it, but we have to actually do the undoing. And that's what this book is about. Okay. So, and that's why I can tell you, like, if you had met me 10, 20, or 30, at least 40 years ago, you would not have talked about angelic qualities. I can promise you that.
Sure.
So I know what I'm talking about when I say it actually is hard work. Like Jim Rohn said, you can make a living at your job, but you can only make a fortune when you work hard on yourself. Whereas like when you work hard on your job, you can make a living. When you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. Well, a fortunate person is not necessarily somebody who gets a wonderful one-night stand or wins the lottery. That's not fortune. Okay, a fortune is something that actually has a lasting quality. Right? So how to actually tap into the energy field of, say, good fortune actually requires a tremendous amount of hard work. The amazing thing about this book is actually, it just requires some doing and application, but it's not hard. It's one of the easiest things. And so how I apply it is based on Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian method of conflict resolution. And how it was more recently reintroduced to the West was through a Hawaiian teacher, Hulen is his name. And he's a psychologist, and he was a psychologist at a correctional facility somewhere in Hawaii. And he discovered that without seeing clients, which were inmates at the time, clients, just by actually going through their files, looking at this stuff and saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, the energy in the prison would start to change. Places where flowers or plants wouldn't grow, they started to grow, and the behavior of patients, of inmates, would actually begin to change. What that really means is that it testifies to the fact that we're all interconnected. Okay, so here we're sitting with Zoom. You look at me, I look at you. We see like 2 personas, but we're actually part of one mind. So when I walk down the street and I see something of a conflicted nature, like I live in Victoria, I see a lot of angry people around. There's a lot of street people here too. When I see somebody suffering, I just quietly say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. What that really means is that, like, when I see a problem, I'm there. Meaning I'm not disconnected from problems out there. So it's my life. I'm in the picture. So therefore, just like I walk down the sidewalk, I see a piece of garbage, I can pick it up and put it in the trash can. 20 or 30 years ago, I would have said, well, I didn't put it there. I would have walked past it. I don't do that anymore. If I can, I'll pick it up. But that also means that when I witness non-physical trash, I can use something like Ho'oponopono. You can use it all the time. And you very quickly notice how you actually begin to feel better. It's a very quick tool for feeling better. So between 2002 and 2009, I worked with over 3,000 clients as a coach, as a life coach. And that gave me a tremendous opportunity to try out different tools and to kind of be innovative and to create some of my own. And when I came across Ho'oponopono, I first started just to use the regular phrase, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, start to feel better. And then I thought, well, I can be more specific. So when you and I worked together, I introduced you to David Hawkins' map of consciousness. Remember that? Okay. When I found the map of consciousness, which basically is the field of perception, at the very bottom you have shame, guilt, dread, fear, hatred, anger, pride, and then it gets into the better feeling states of willingness and forgiveness, acceptance, understanding, and then love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. Well, that's the field of perception. Okay. And what that means is that I can actually work with that field even when I don't do anything. It's like flossing your teeth. You don't have to wait until you have a cavity to actually work on your oral health and hygiene. You can actually do something preventatively. So from a life coaching perspective, I realized I could actually use one of my life coaching tools. And it would be like it's called a life coaching wheel, or like a mandala. It has 8 areas. One of them says money. Most people have money stress. Okay, so I could actually now combine these 3 tools, the Ho'oponopono phrase, the life coaching wheel, and the map of consciousness. I could pick one area on my life, let's say money, and I could pick a problematic area on the map of consciousness, let's say guilt or shame, and I can combine it with the Ho'oponopono phrase. I could say concerning my money and finances, I'm so sorry for all the guilt that I have been carrying. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. See, and I can do that when nothing has happened. I can do that when I feel great. So I constructed a book that has over 144 phrases like that. And what I did was actually, I went through some of the books that I use and I picked out ideas or words and crafted these Ho'oponopono statements. So let me just find, I'm just going through my manuscript. Actually, I had a really good fortune. I know, so I have a working relationship with the owner of Namaste Publishing, who discovered and published Eckhart Tolle. And we were at the same Sangha together last year. And I got in touch with her a couple of months ago and I said to her, look, I have this book. I heard you talk about the importance of working with an editor. Can you recommend a great editor? And she said, at Namaste, we've used this person for the last 10 years. I highly recommend. She said, her knowing me, and because, we've had lots of conversations, she said, this person would be a really great editor for you. So I've been working with this editor for the last 2 months, and I now actually have a wonderful edit from him on this book. And I'm just about to put the book out, actually. So I want to give you an example of how you could, how one could utilize the Ho'oponopono phrase, being really specific about something. While I find this,
because it's very custom, isn't it? It's very custom. It's just like, what are you looking for at this moment for healing in? And you just reverse engineer, and then you're customizing the phrase to match that. And like
Yeah.
how amazing too, if you're doing, like you said, preventative, like flossing, and you're doing it before there's a huge outburst of something. So just going through the book on a regular, it's such a well-rounded wheel of tools, of phrases to use. Fabulous, Colin. I'm so excited.
You got it. Exactly. That's exactly, you actually just beautifully paraphrased the essence of what this is about. Would it be okay if I gave you an example?
I would love to hear, please.
Okay. So one of my favorite self-help books is Dan Millman's book, The Life You Were Born to Live. And it's a book on numerology. It's very simple. You add up the numbers of your birth date, and you go through the book, and you find out, what your troubles and opportunities are in life, basically, like the good, the bad, the ugly that we're born with and what to work with. And so I gave an example in this book now of how I would utilize the essence of my numerological challenges and clean away the lower frequencies from my own holographic profile, let's say that, okay?
Yes.
So I'm just going to read this from my here. So if you want to improve your health and vitality, combining Ho'oponopono with specific words, ideas, or phrases from books like Louise Hay's Heal Your Life, Carolyn Mace's Anatomy of the Spirit, or Donna Eden's Energy Medicine can do wonders for your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Likewise, books on astrology and numerology can give you specific ideas for words and phrases that are specific to you in this lifetime. One of my all-time favorite books is Dan Millman's gem, The Life You Were Born to Live. In it, I found rich solutions for cleaning my hologram. According to Dan's book, I'm speaking about me, I'm here to work through issues of stability, creativity, and emotional expression, learning to channel my energy in constructive ways and to master a step-by-step process to my goals. So this is a quote from the chapter that pertains to me in that book. So incorporating Dan's recommendations concerning my numerological life path challenges of a 31/4 life path, I would use Ho'oponopono in the following way. I am sorry for any unresolved self-doubt and insecurity, and forever having operated on hopes, wishes, and enthusiastic illusions. Please forgive me for any tendencies toward instability and lack of commitment. I love you. Thank you. So I can tell you, just because this is very specific to what I have to work through in this life,
yes.
When I read this, I can feel it in my heart, and I can actually feel, I can feel a sense of an upliftment. Okay, so there's many different ways in which one can utilize these Ho'oponopono phrases using these examples, or just actually, like I said, I have crafted over 144 different statements that one could use, and you can read through it, and you can actually feel when you hit the jackpot.
That's incredible.
Wow, that's amazing.
So there's something there. There's something there that resonates. I mean, for some people, it would be like, that was not, it didn't touch me that much. Yeah. But another person, it would just get them right in the heart or the third eye or somewhere.
Yeah.
And depending too on your numerology as well.
Yes.
So there's some pre-work to do as well to get the most out of your book would be to know your numbers, know your life path and whatnot. And then you can just get even more little nuggets of gold.
Exactly. And when we, again, like earlier speaking about, these angelic frequencies, this is one way in which we can access them. And you can really do it in your own time. You can do it anytime you want, no matter where you are.
Yes.
And you can actually really feel the shift. A Course in Miracles teaches that projection makes perception. It's like, this is the same as one of Wayne Dyer's statements. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's all about projection and perception. So just a couple of weeks ago, my honey, Marin, and I were cycling, and I realized, like, she was cycling ahead of me, and she was cycling through a couple of people, and I could tell there was an angry person. And now she's been using this Ho'oponopono as well. And shortly after, she said to me, I was really concerned when I saw this person because it had something to do with her cycling around that too. And she said, the moment I uttered the words, I could feel the energy shift. The point here is that we perceive something, but we perceive it in that way because we're actually projecting it. Yeah. We don't realize that our life is a movie. And so what we see out there is actually as a result of what we are already thinking, but that comes most from our unconscious state of thinking. So we're not actually so much aware that we are projecting these thoughts out there, and now we interpret with our mind what the eyes see. So as you see something and it feels frightening, when you use the phrase, it actually clears the energy. Because
this is so important always, but especially I feel right now in this time that we are in, there's so much fear. There's so much, like in the media, it's just all around us. So to have this in our toolbox to just try to relax and to be calm, because it's only feeding this anxiety like we were speaking of earlier. Yes. So to cleanse the outside self, to, right, like the chakras, to just release. Yeah, because there's so much. I mean, with the masks and the gloves and everybody, there's a very fear-driven right now.
It's more separation, right?
More separation, yeah.
Actually, on a conference call yesterday with someone in the States, and they, of course, now they have to deal with riots and all that too. So not only do we have to deal with lockdowns, we also have to now deal with curfews. We deal with separation in terms of gender, race, and now it's actually, are you wearing a mask? Are you not wearing a mask? Yeah. The person was saying she felt the anger from a person towards her because she wasn't wearing a mask.
Sure.
So it was more division, more separation, and of course that all causes friction, right? It is a war. So how to actually bring peace to this? One of the ways to do that is by utilizing. It's a very simple technique. It's a very simple technique.
Yeah.
So there's a few different ways, and like I said, you can use this tool as it happens. You can also use it preventatively.
Yes.
And I think these are probably times of absolute heightened stress for most people.
Yeah.
And so having simple tools, I would, if I could just say, just 5 tips on how to actually reduce stress. It would be something like this. Practicing the attitude of gratitude, because that actually shifts our perception immediately.
Yeah.
There's always something to be grateful for, and the moment I actually express gratitude, I'm already putting myself up on the emotional guidance scale, so to speak. Exercise and nutrition, and nutritionally, it's really good to take adaptogens, like herbs that actually really help to balance out the hormonal system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something just very simple, a very simple toolkit.
And speaking of diet, I know you follow a vegetarian or vegan diet. Would you say that people who are perhaps doing keto or high meat intake, would that be potentially adding to the stress and adding into the fear of the adrenaline and stuff that the animals have had that people are consuming?
Possibly. You just mentioned the word fear, and I think that's probably the most important ingredient. Because so over the years, I've seen a lot of people who followed really healthy diets. Mm-hmm. They were very sick.
Sure.
And so what I discovered is that it's always the emotion behind the choice. So if a person is just frantically looking for the healthiest foods because they're so afraid of what might happen if they didn't do that, they already are shooting themselves in the foot. This may sound really awful, but I tell you, just around the corner, there's a KFC.
Okay.
And I tell you, it's been at least 40 years since I've eaten anything like that.
Yeah.
But I catch myself sometimes just driving by there and seeing these people lining up with their cars. And I think that, my God, ignorance is bliss. I envy these people that they can do this, that. I mean, and I'm definitely not an advocate for that.
No.
But imagine that's the simple mindset where you're actually like totally like oblivious to
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
I was born in 1959, so I grew up. My teenage years were in the 70s when anything was okay.
Sure.
You know, so there's a benefit to that as well. You know, today there's so much anxiety around anything. Just to get it wrong is so important to get it right. And
yeah.
um,
That's beautiful. The forgiveness piece. And that again circles back to your book. It's like, I forgive you. It's okay. Either way, right? It's like, as long as you're doing your best at that moment, and that changes
yeah.
with every day. So
yeah, I'm definitely, I mean, so you brought up nutrition, you know, we could say about COVID, like this thing would have never happened if everybody was a vegetarian, right? Because clearly the source for this, it had something to do with the consumption of meat.
That's right.
While I only eat J.M. Schneider stuff and it comes from factory and blah, 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 and it can be clean. However, the principle is the same. It's meat consumption, right? So one could take on an issue with that. And if you read like a book like John, I think it's John Robbins, Died for New America. It's not Tim Robbins. Anyways, Died for New America, a big hit book in the 1980s. And he made it very, very clear, like the consequences of any animal consumption on the planet and on the health, etc.
Yes.
So when we take all of that into consideration, you know, and say, well, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, you know, for all the damage and that we have been inflicting on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, consciously and unconsciously. And just by actually doing that, we already raise the vibration. And the rest is really up to life. Like, you know, we do not invent or create life. We are co-creators in this game. So raising the vibration to the best of our ability, I think, is something that anybody can do. And that's what really this book is about.
Totally. And you have also so many other tools as well, like the sound healing. That's another tool that one could use, or the light therapy that you do, or even talking, understanding the levels of consciousness as well. Like with your sound healing, I'm curious, like I know that there's different combinations of different notes, like that create different sorts of healing potential. Like what would you say for immunity would be a good combination?
Well, so the thymus gland is in the heart chakra, and it's a note of F sharp.
Oh, sure. Oh, okay. Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up, because so here's a very simple way in which a person could use sound as, let's say, recorded sound, a sound that's not generated by themselves. Okay, and I'm saying this because I'm not quite decided on a title for this book. The working title is actually Complete Forgiveness. And I was thinking of a title, Sound of Forgiveness.
Oh, I like that, because then it
yeah,
got great.
Because I want to tie it back into the sound healing work I do. But the point is,
blowing my mind right now. Like, does forgiveness have a sound? Like, actually, it does. Perhaps it's F sharp.
Well, and you know, whether you actually say it out loud or not, you actually hear the sound of your own words.
That's medicine too, isn't it? Just the vibrate. Yeah.
Our voice is the most powerful healing instrument on the planet. Okay. Charles Fillmore, who's a co-founder of Unity Church, one of his milestone books, The 12 Powers, speaks about the energetic blueprint of the 12 disciples of Christ, and that they actually are a template for human mind and creativeness. And the fifth disciple, I think, was Philip. And the fifth disciple, the meaning of that is actually communication. It's the power of communication. And so it's the power of communication is the power of powers. It's in the throat. Now, if you study martial arts, they say the power center is in the hara, and that's probably energetically, right? In our work together, we talked about archetypes, and we spoke about the archetype of the king and queen. And unless a king or queen can actually sit on the throne and deliver a throne speech, there is no message. It is the power of the word. Think of the movie The King's Speech.
Right.
How important it is that we actually communicate with authenticity. Think of Gandhi, the amazing master communicator that he became. His whole message of satyagraha, truthfulness and nonviolence. Nonviolence, we think about it physically, but it actually has a lot to do with what we say. We should not blame. We should not attack verbally. So when we utilize the power of the word appropriately, it has sound. And so the sound of forgiveness, using the Ho'oponopono prayer, actually, we are basically speaking a new existence into our life. So what we can do is that, as I was actually working with this book again, with this manuscript, I thought, well, I'd like to tie it into some of the other work I've done with sound. I was thinking about the CD that I recorded a couple of summers ago. And I was thinking, like, which of these tracks, if I were to actually recommend for somebody to work through the Ho'oponopono book, and what would I recommend they listen to? And this is actually also an answer to your question a moment ago. What would really help with the immune system? There is probably my favorite track on the CD. It's the title is Rebirth. The CD is called Crystal Sound Journey, or Journeys, I think. So, and it is actually a journey. It's like a musical. It's like an opera. It's a story. It starts with truth descending. It's the involution. We so much talk about evolution, but we wouldn't have evolution without involution. There has to be a prime directive that comes from the cosmos. And we actually receive it when the crown is open. And that's like truth is trying to come in. And at what level we actually engage with that truth depends on how open our chakras are. So if the chakras are completely open and aligned, we actually have complete direct truth perception. So truth is descending, and then how do we process that? And as we process that properly, we get to the final track, and it's called Soul Ascending. But the second track, or the third track on that CD, is called Rebirth. And when I recorded that track, what I had actually in mind, what I was visualizing, it's a very beautiful, gentle track, actually. And that's why it's ideal to listen to that when you work with the Ho'oponopono phrases. But the Rebirth, at the time, this was, I think, 4 summers ago, I was just reading through one of Bruce Lipton's books, The Honeymoon Effect, and where he talks about the wound in the womb that we carry in our own womb, and also like how we are so impacted when we're in our mother's womb. And at that time, I was doing quite a few sound baths, like prenatal sound baths, and I really had this image of like this piece is for clearing the energy in our womb. So I titled it Rebirthing. It has the notes of A, F sharp, and D in it. And you might recall some of the things we talked about in sound baths and at the workshops. Whenever we are in the frequency of the note of A, the human cells emit pink light. And that's been scientifically proven through Kirlian photography. You take a human blood cell, put it under a microscope, and you sound the note of A. And with Kirlian photography, you see that the cells will actually emit pink light. So if you listen to that track on my album, you're actually beginning to immerse yourself more in pink light from a cellular level perspective. And when you combine that with some of the Ho'oponopono phrases, it's just a way to shift from stress and fear and pressure into more relaxation and love and joy and openness.
That's amazing. So beautiful. What a gift. And to be able to combine the two as well. And for people to be able to do this in the comfort of their own home, you can bring it everywhere with you. It's just such a incredibly easy tool to access. And your CD also is available on your website, which is, I'll link it down below as well for everybody to be able to click on that.
Yeah, my name, colinhillstrom.com, and you can download it.
Yes.
There, and there will be, I'm thinking of doing Zoom groups, up to 8 people, and utilizing the energy of the power of 8, like Lynn McTaggart has proven through so many projects that when 8 people congregate and focus their energy on something beneficial, benevolent outside themselves, it actually has a tremendous ripple effect, including their own life. So what I'm thinking of doing is just to actually create groups of 8 that meet maybe over a period of 21 days or 40 days, something like that, and working with the Ho'oponopono, working with the sound, maybe adding some adaptogens like herbs and things like that, whatever people want to do. But yeah, I think we can really, this is the time to shift the energy on the planet.
Yeah.
We can totally create a dream reality for our Earth. We live in a dream. Life is a dream. It's a light show. We project things and then we perceive them. But what we perceive has everything to do with our levels of consciousness. So we actually have to undo the habitual guilt and shame and the attack and all that. It's outdated. It's like this comes from the dinosaur time, so to speak. Like we are actually stepping into a new humanity.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, Colin, thank you so much. And I'm really excited too that you're going to be spending more time back in Vancouver as well, because right now you are in Victoria and you're going to be coming back to Vancouver to do sound baths in person with social distancing and stuff. So this week will be the first of the many, hopefully.
Have a full moon weekend. It's a perfect opportunity.
Yes, definitely.
Yes,
full moon in Sagittarius, so it's fabulous. And so many eclipses too this month as well. It's a very interesting time. Well, thank you so much, Colin. And I'm going to list all of the ways for people to get in contact with you. You are such an incredible healer, teacher, mentor. I'm just so honored to have for you to share your time with us today. So thank you so much, Colin.
So thank you guys for watching, and be sure to check out Colin's website for updates on his classes and his albums and books. And also be sure to check out my page, yukoturnbull.com. And if you're wanting some coaching, hair appointments, also holistic products that I make by hand according to the moon cycles, I have that under my brand name Green Ruby that I've created. And you can get some amazing essential oils with crystals inside that are activating with sound healing with crystal bowls. And those have 3 different types of blends, and those are available on my website. Okay, guys, look forward to seeing you next time on the next podcast.